right? They lack the information that will allow them to receive information, advanced information. That's like prognosis, right? Advanced information on its production. So, how do we help the farmers? In our approach, we modify what we call YOLO V5. Now, quickly, YOLO V5 is a deep learning algorithm. This was developed by some engineers. Okay, they developed it, and I am just using it as a developer to develop something that we can use here in the Gambia. Do you see? Obviously, you have the researchers that write the papers that do the research, and you have those that implement the papers that the researchers write. Those are the engineers, and you have those now that will what that will develop or that will further enhance or adapt what these engineers have written. Those are the developers, right? Okay, there are so many tools that we use. Example, Microsoft Word, right? Those were developed by engineers, right? Okay, but you can further enhance it. You can do some work with Microsoft Word or Excel, right? You can use Excel to store some data, not so manipulate data and things like that, right? Connect it to some database, right? That's the work of a developer in simple terms. Now, this is a bit more complex, but just bear with me. So we use the YOLO V5, which is more like an algorithm, okay, a machine learning algorithm to do this, right? I am going to, so in our results, the model, this YOLO V5 model that we've created, that we built, performs relatively better compared to other four state-of-the-art models, right? So RCNN, Regional Convolution Neural Network, YOLO V3, YOLO V4, and Efficient Net, these are all what models. If you remember, Karamu talked about models, right? He talked about the random forest models and things like that. So there are a lot of models available out there. Okay, I'll just get to understand what each of them will do and use it to solve a problem, right? Further enhance it, optimize it, right? Okay. Now, of course, we know agriculture is the most important sector in the Gambia. We all know that, right? And one of the priority areas for development. It accounts for approximately one quarter of the GDP. I'll skip that. Mango is one of the main fruit produced, consumed, and exported. So we export mango, right? So it's necessary to implement new techniques and technologies that will ensure what high production and reduce wastage, right? Very important. This is very practical, very, very practical. Okay. So mangoes contain essential vitamins and vitamins. Despite its abundance, mangoes are not fully utilized because Gambian mango farmers lack the technology that will allow them to receive advanced. We talked about this advanced information. Okay, so what did we do, guys? What did we do to create this model, right? That we will use to detect mangoes in Gambia. What we did was, again, we used the YOLO V5, but we tried to optimize it to make it perform better. So we use in machine learning. There's what we call a Swift activation function, right? By default, YOLO V5, which is a framework. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Please stop me at any point in time. YOLO V5 is a framework or the structure. By default, it uses what we call ReLU. It's like you already have a foundation ready. If you want to build a story building, you can go ahead and build a story building. If you want to build a bungalow, 3 bedrooms, you can do that. But the foundation is already there. That's YOLO V5, right? Okay. So yes, so we use a different activation function, different from ReLU. We use Swift, and Swift is it's able to perform faster in terms of sort of detecting these mangoes and more accurately. Okay, we also created a data set because obviously the way machine learning or deep learning works is this: very very simple, basic term, in basic sense. You have an examination to do, right? You don't know what questions are going to come in these exams. You have no idea. What do? You go home, you study, right? You study. You come back for the exams. When you come for the exams, you write based on what you studied, not so. So you've trained your mind, so to speak, to be able to answer questions to the exams, not so. Same thing with this deep learning neural networks. That's how it works. So you train the network using some data that it understands. So if I want to detect mangoes, for example, I train it with mango data set. I get images. Okay, so here we are talking about convolutional neural networks, where you deal with, or computer vision rather, computer vision, where you deal with things you can see, vision, images, right? What Karamo was talking about was more, well, it had nothing to do with images, but it's still classification, right? It's still a classification problem. So what we did was we curated these images. How did we do? How did we do that? We went and took pictures of mangoes, this specific species, right? We went to Gunjur. We took photos of these mangoes. We took varieties, right? You can have those that are ripe, those that are, we call it half and half. You know? Yes. Go ahead.
So when you take an image of the mango, you're basically taking like a 2D print of the mango.
You're taking a two-dimensional print.
So how will the AI recognize it as a three-dimensional object?
Yeah, very good question. Now, this is where maths come in. So it takes, basically images are pixels. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Yes, what forms images, what makes up images is just pixels, right? So what the computer will do is it will vectorize this image, right, to get the pixel value, right? And then, well, training has to happen first, but that's how it does it. It takes a 2D, vectorizes it, iterates through it, right? Look for patterns, lines, and colors, and things like that. And then that's how it's able to remember. Just like you can visualize stuff, right? You can, okay, this is a door because it's rectangle in shape or square, anyhow. It has some features, right? That's what makes a door a door. It's the same thing it does, right? Same thing it does, yeah. Okay, so we got this data set. We got quite a lot of data set, right? And then we trained our neural network to be able to determine or to detect in the future mangoes, right? If it sees a new mango, it's able to tell this is a mango, right? If it sees a cat, it's able to say, okay, well, this is not a mango, it's a cat, because you've trained it to understand this, right? Okay. And then, so this is how it works basically. This is like a camera, just like that one. You can use your camera as well. You can even use your phone to capture an image. That image passes into our proposed network, the one we developed, and it gives you the output. Do you see? The output is the detection of the mangoes. It's in square boxes, right? Okay. Yeah, and then yeah, that's the methodology, right? This is more like the structure. Okay. Not to worry about this one for now, but just understand that this is coded actually. It's an algorithm that is coded, but this is how the structure looks like. Okay, it's an algorithm, a coded algorithm. Um, okay, we talked about the data set already. Okay, when you're trying to gather your data set, you're looking for different scenarios, different varieties. You look for some that are occluded or that are blurry. Occlusion means you can have a mango, but you can have a leaf that covers the mango. So you can take a picture of that to see how the neural network, after it's trained, how it will behave if it sees an instance of that. Do you see? Yes, those things are important. It's just like the self-driving car, by the way, right? The Google self-driving car. When it's driving, it's looking at images. Is this a traffic sign? If it sees a traffic sign, what does it do? If it sees a human being, what does it do? Right? If there is a siren, like Dr. Ba mentioned yesterday, what will it do? What's going to be the reaction? But there are cameras in place to check all of the and sensors as well, right? Okay, so that's the data set that we curated. But most importantly, when you're researching, when you're doing a research, it has to be novel. Novel means you have to contribute something new to the scientific community, right? Right. And based on our findings, when we compared our proposed model with already existing models that were created by some researchers or developers, ours perform better. You can see the accuracy, 94.5%. Right? Better than faster RNN, YOLO V3, YOLO V4, efficient dead. These are very powerful models. Right? You can research on them. Very, very powerful models, computer vision models, right? Okay. Well, this is the graph showing when you're training the model, what you want the accuracy to be high, to increase over time, and of course the loss to decrease. Right, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that's it. I had wanted to actually show you, do a demo of how this is done, but I could not. I don't have a webcam on my computer, on my laptop, right? But this is important because, and we need this in Gambia because, like you have seen, farmers sometimes don't cannot tell before time what sort of production they'll have in terms of mango. If you want to export something, some food item, you want to know whether at the end of the day you will have enough to export, not so, right? And whether you're gonna have, a lot to be consumed locally, not so. Yes. So with this technique, you can count these mangoes, and then it could give you roughly an idea as to what to expect in terms of produce, right? Okay. Right. Any questions? Do you find this interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yes. Any questions? Okay. If there are any questions, let's jump right into the second one. Right. Yeah. Yes, please. Yes. Good question. So, how are the farmers going to use this? You know, you can recite this in Rwanda and Kenya, I believe. They've implemented this kind of drone system to help detect crop diseases from crops. Right? You can have a farm with crops as huge as the University of the Gambia, even bigger. You can't manually go through to check. Okay, this crop, is it infected or not? Right? So they use drones and they take pictures of these crops, right? Pass it through a neural network, a system, and that is able to tell them, okay, that these crops are infected with some particular disease. You know, crops could be affected by disease or even pests as well, right? Yes. So now drone is one way of doing this. Another simple way of doing it is to have the application on their phone, to have the app on their phone, and they through the camera of their phone, they're able to do like a video, right? As they're going, it's detecting. As it is detecting, it's counting as well, right? It's detecting, it's counting, right? Yes. And at the end of the day, you can have a rough estimate. But what you want to be careful about is you want to make sure that when you detect a group of mangoes, you don't want it to be captured again, to be detected, because that would be a duplicate, right? Do you see what I mean? Yeah. If you detected 5 mangoes in this tree, okay, you want to make sure that whilst you are still within that frame, that view, you don't want to detect those mangoes again. But there are algorithms to handle that, right? Yes. Yes.
So, I want to ask about the cat model that you are mentioning.
Okay.
Yes, we are mentioning about cat models here.
Uh-huh.
Where are we using the cat model? Where are the cat models?
So it could be any mango. I think our research interest was on Kett because maybe Kett is one of the most popular, probably. Yes. So if you want to capture other mangoes as well, it's the same thing. But make sure your neural network is built with a large set of data to be able to, to be able to make future predictions based on what it's learned, right? Yes. This is working. It's something that we built here. Useno was part of those that worked on it, huh? Yes, with this Pakistani guy as well from Lahore University. Yeah. So another thing I want to show you guys is this is the agri part. I want you to show you another stuff that we worked on, which is what we call medical imaging. Do you know that from the first video we saw, the YouTube video we first played for those who were here, we saw how you could analyze, let's say, cancer or some other, or pneumonia, for example, from maybe chest X-ray, CT scans, right, or even brain tumors from the brain, right? How you could do that, right? So I'll show you. I'll give you an idea as to how that works, right? That will be the next slide, and then we can do a demo. I'll show you the application that we developed that's able to do something similar, right? You will see. So let's keep going. Yes, somebody had a question. That was Malik, right? Oh, Prof.
I know that the student is very good.
Yes, sir.
lot of programs that government is
Yes.
especially in the application of ICT.
Right.
There is one big program agency,
Yes.
and it's going to be something that is going to be used and applied in every sector
Yes.
of our society.
Right.
So in this demonstration or introduction, I think it can help motivate students
Yes.
to know, because sometimes what people are doubtful about is when I study this kind of stuff, how do I apply it?
Yes,
Or
correct.
where do I apply it?
Correct. Yes.
I remember when I started my own September 1997, people were like, you know, computers,
Yes.
right? Today, you can see things have changed. So I think with this kind of demonstration, students will be motivated to know that when you study these things,
Yes.
there's going to be hope for you
Definitely.
to apply these things across society.
Yes. Thank you very much. Prof. Yes. Thank you very much, Prof, for that. Yes. You had Prof, right?